Do you ever think, oh my God, why is this person copying me? They copy the way I act, they copy what I do, they copy my hobbies. It's so annoying. Why are people copying me? Or on the flip side, am I copying them too much? Are they going to think that I want to be them? Are they going to be annoyed? Are they going to be frustrated? This week, I want to talk about what I think is a pretty classic phenomenon, which is the copycat problem. And why is it that we associate copycats so negatively or with such a negative image? But what does the copycat problem also display to us? What does it serve us to do and engage in? Hello and welcome back to the Kalopsia podcast. I'm your host Sydney and I'm so thankful that you guys came and clicked on this week's episode. I have missed you. It has been a long week and I'm ready to record. Now, I wanted to talk about this because I feel like this is kind of a theme that was going on in my elementary school, my middle school experience. I often, I went to this French American school. It was very small, very niche, and there weren't that many people. And I, wanted to be like the other people. And one instance that I will never forget about is I asked my mom to buy me this Hollister sweatshirt combo with a denim jacket. It was a denim jacket that had a sweatshirt hood and sweat sleeves and a zipper. Or no, buttons, I'm sorry. And basically like 4 other girls had this jacket in my class, and a few of them had it in black and a few of them had it in the white colorway. But there was a gray colorway. I was like, perfect. I'm going to ask my mom to get me the gray colorway and I'm going to be just like everybody else and I'm going to be cool because I'm going to have this jacket. And I ended up getting the jacket. Now, what happened next was an instance of just blatant racism, right? This girl DM'd me and she was like, how dare you get the same jacket as me and all of my friends? You're so ratchet, all of these different things. And I was like, whoa. There are 6 other people in this grade that have this same jacket. Do you own Hollister? I'm like, I stood up for myself. I was like, absolutely not, babe. 6 of us have this jacket. Why am I the only ratchet one? Right. And in retrospect, this was a deeper issue, a deeper run issue. But I will never forget that because she was so frustrated that I copied her, that I copied them. And it was this huge thing in her perspective. Now, what do we perceive as the copycat, right? We think of copycats as people who are inauthentic. We see them as people who don't have their own hobbies, don't have their own likes and dislikes. They are almost like sleeper agents is a common word recently. They are culture leeches, they are fashion leeches. They just want to steal your life. That's kind of how we look at them. And when you think about when we're growing up and our perception of copycats, it's almost like, no, this is a horrible thing to do. Why would you copy me? It's like the worst thing you can do when it comes to interpersonal relationships. And basically, we're told that it's very bad. We're told that it's negative, and we are told to instead push to find our own individuality, push to find our own likes and dislikes. And in that way, it is good. It is good that we are rerouted from constantly copying those around us. Of course, it does still happen, but it's overall seen negatively. Like, find your own likes and dislikes, find your own passions, and find your own hobbies, find your own things to do. And so in that way, we see it being positive. Now, and another example of this is my friend told me how she recently decided to take a class that was the same class as her friend, right? Let's say that the topic was philosophy, and this girl decided to also take the class philosophy. She was like, this is really interesting. You told me about this class. This is so cool. I would love to learn more about this topic as well. What does her friend do? Oh, why dare you copy me? Why would you take the same class as me? Are you trying to be my competition? Now we're seeing how this copycat problem might not always be a positive thing. Because what the copycat kind of phenomenon forces us to do is do something different than our friends, do something other than our friends. And I'm speaking in broad terms here because, of course, a lot of the time, friendships and people and relationships, they tend to assimilate to one another, and you're going to have similar hobbies, you're going to have similar things. However, When you are afraid of being this copycat, you're not going to engage in activities that you think could assign that label to you. So for example, with this class, maybe if she were worried about being termed this copycat, she wouldn't have exposed herself to this new area of knowledge, exposed herself to this whole new environment, this whole new curriculum, this whole new, world within this world of philosophy, right? What that does then is limit you and limit what you are able to do, what you are able to learn. And so now we're seeing how this copycat problem might negatively affect us as people. Now, something I want to introduce is the expander, right? And this is something that I stumbled upon. I was browsing in one of my local bookstores and I stumbled across this book called How to Manifest by Lacy Phillips. And I was literally just scrolling, just opening up certain pages, like one by one, just opening it up. Okay, let's see what this page says. And one of the pages was talking about expanders. And this is not a word that I've heard of before, because in the law of attraction, we'll often think like attracts like. We're going to try to surround ourselves by people who are going to facilitate our personal transformation. So, in the law of attraction episode, we might have talked about how, okay, if your current friend group is like really into going out and you don't want to go out anymore, instead you really want to go rock climbing and you want to do all these like hiking excursions and go outside and do all this like nature and rock climbing and all these different things and skydiving, right? That's the group that you want to go into. Okay, I'm going to place myself into environments where I can kind of meet that type of person. And so I can kind of more easily make that transition, because if I align my actions and my presence with activities and people that I want to be a part of or that I want to partake in, then that is going to bring that reality faster to me. That is what the law of attraction kind of deems. Now, this new term, expanders, that she brought up, I thought was very interesting, because it really is that bridge between the copycat problem, but also wanting to expand, but using your resources. And those resources include the people that surround you. And we've talked about jealousy, right? Jealousy is one of the most common emotions that we will all go through. Maybe you really, really want to be successful, and then you find this person who gets opportunities thrown at them and they do this and they do that. Or maybe you see someone who is a few years older than you and they've got it all set up, they've got it all figured out, and you feel like you're behind and you feel like you're falling behind. You can take this information and you can take this person, this individual that has more than you, that may be more successful than you, that may be more integrated than you, that may have this thing that you want that you don't have currently. You can either look at them and, feel sorry for yourself, feel annoyed, feel frustrated, say there's nothing I can do. Like, I'm so annoyed that they have this and I don't. Why do they get to have it and I don't, right? That's what the jealous mind will have you go down mental path-wise. Or you can kind of integrate this topic Lacy Phillips suggests, which is perceiving them as expanders. And now, what the copycat problem can also be divided in, right, subcategories, is on one hand, we have the types of copycats who are going to copy everything you do. They see somebody successful, they're just going to copy them. They're going to imitate them. They're going to emulate them. And this side of it can get dangerous, because what this copycat isn't doing is acknowledging how they feel influenced, what they might appreciate about this person, or even just not mentioning that they are, of course, copying them, and maybe they are inspired by their fashion and they're going to take a little tips and tricks, or maybe they're inspired by one of the hobbies that this person picked up and they're like, I always wanted to try that. Like, do you mind if I join you in one of your classes? They're not going to approach it that way. They're going to slyly kind of pick up your hobbies, pick up your mannerisms, pick up your fashion sense. They're just going to do it slyly under the radar and think you're not going to notice, right? That's where it can get frustrating. Now, on the other side of this copycat, right, we can do this nicely. We can do this with respect. We can do this while maintaining our authenticity. We can come to these people and say, I am so inspired when I see you do X. Maybe it's, wow, you started doing pottery? Like, that is so cool. I totally forgot. I have always wanted to try that. Where do you go? You've inspired me. I really want to try that too. What did you make? Oh, I really want to make this instead. Like, but what studio did you go to? You come to them. You acknowledge their influence on you, on that hobby you want to pick up, on that fashion thing you want to try out, on the makeup product you want to try. You can do it openly. You can tell them, listen, I think that's so cool that you did this. I want to try it too. Can you give me any tips and tricks? Like, you really inspire me. Coming to them with that honesty, with that outright flattery, I think is literally the way to avoid this copycat problem, to avoid annoying people, right? Because it can be frustrating for people to kind of just almost peel off your skin and they wear it, right? Because they're gonna not acknowledge that they're going to just copy every part of you and not tell you anything about it and just pretend that this is now the real them and it's like they're unrecognizable. It's better to do this honestly. And so now, what you are doing when you are acknowledging them and telling them, wow, I'm really inspired. Wow, I'm doing all this. Like, wow, this is so cool that you did this. I would love to also get up my foot in that field. You are almost letting them know, like, you are my expander here. You are my expander within this craft. You are my expander within this field of knowledge. You are my expander within this thing, right? In acknowledging that, not only are you telling yourself and helping yourself by pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and leaning into that side of inspiration rather than falling within jealousy and within jealous, mental patterns, but it's also going to flatter them. It's also going to tell them, listen, this part of you, this aspect of you has really inspired me, an external person, to find more about me. Find more than I can do with myself. You're pushing me to explore. You're pushing me to develop. You're pushing me to grow. Thank you for that. And it's mutually beneficial. That's a mutually beneficial relationship. And it really, really helps us reroute what we deem as people that, have more than us, have more success than us, have are light years ahead of us. Now we can look at them not in a jealous way of somebody who we need to figure out and need to kind of copy and find a way to find that it factor that they've got and we don't. Instead, we can approach the situation so much more honestly. We can say, listen, you really push me. You really help me discover this new aspect within myself. One of my roommates actually decided to take drumming lessons, and when she mentioned that she was going to start doing drumming lessons, it really reminded me that I really wanted to get back into piano. And I've been saying this for at least 6 years. Ever since I moved to Boston, I haven't had a piano, and I played piano since I was 3, and it was a huge part of my life growing up, and I've totally forgotten everything. And I'm like, I really, really need to get back into piano, and I've always said this. Now that she brought back up the fact that, oh wait, I can practice an instrument if I really did want to, it really pushed me to, okay, I'm going to take actionable steps. Let me get a keyboard. Let me actually put my foot here. And I told her, I'm like, literally, thank you for this inspiration. Like, yes, you're going to practice the drums. I'm going to practice the piano. This is so good. We're leading into our hobbies. Thank you for this. Like, it really is all about the acknowledgement. It's all about the appreciation for others' sparkle and saying, I love that sparkle. I wonder if I have it too, or whether I'm capable of that sparkle too. It's not, okay, I'm taking your sparkle and that sparkle's gonna be mine. No. It's like, okay, what if we all shone, right? Or shined? I don't know the conjugation, but yeah. Now I want to read a little passage from this book, How to Manifest by Lacy Phillips. She writes in her little takeaway at the end of the chapter, working with expanders. Start by going back to your list of major manifestations. Next to each one, list any expanders you already have in this area. Remember, you can list any type of expander, not just full expanders, right? So these can be particular people. Okay, I really, really want to get better at my, networking within the lip gloss business in the Boston region using these platforms. And it's like, okay, maybe I can find a person, join a LinkedIn group, make a connection in that space. Okay, maybe how can I get them to, how can I find them and ask them questions about this, sector, about lip gloss in Boston using this company, whatever. We can get really particular with it. It's also important to realize that once you understand this concept of expanders, it opens up also how you approach networking and how you approach building relationships with others. Because if we are no longer just looking at people as almost competition or the enemy, but rather seeing them as people who have the power to allow you to grow and allow you to prosper further, then you're looking at relationships and conversations as something that hold value, something that you can really learn from, something that can really serve as inspiration for you. And so that's kind of a better, approach than heading into a conversation, being self-sabotaging and telling yourself, oh, they're going to find out that I suck. They're going to find out I'm horrible at this. It's like, no, listen, I'm honest with you. Like, I don't know anything about the lip gloss industry in Boston. I have no idea. And I would love to hear what you have to say about this topic. They're going to be so flattered. They're going to be like, wow, like, of course, thank you for coming to me. I really appreciate you reaching out to me. I just got started in this field, blah, 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 blah. You never know how the conversation's going to go. But I digress. Let's keep going with the quote. Remember, you can list any type of expanders, not just full expanders. Next, to the name of each expander, write down exactly how they are expanding you, including every aspect you can think of. Look at your list again and take an inventory of where you need more expansion. There might be items on your list that you have no current expanders for, or some that you have only 1 or 2 fragment expanders for. List the expanders that you still need to connect with. Create an expanders manifestation list, listing the exact areas of expansion you still need to connect with. Keep going back and updating this list as expanders show up in your life. The more you surround yourself with expanders, the faster you will be able to connect with your manifestation. Remember, expanders are everywhere. Even in the smallest instances, they always help to show you that what you desire is truly possible. I love that. I absolutely love that. And I now really, really want to do this activity that she has suggested, because it is so easy to fall into that mental pattern of thinking, I am so behind. I am so undercooked, underdeveloped in this region. Even when I think about this podcast, if I'm talking about it and it's like, oh, wow, like I really need to grow right now. It's not my biggest priority, marketing and stuff like that. But if it were, then I could really easily fall into the pattern of, I'm suffering so much, like this is so bad, I don't even want to speak to anybody about it. But instead I can be like, okay, now that I know exactly where I want to expand upon, how can I connect with myself with someone who might push me in this way? Do I know anybody who is also in the media? Do I know anybody who is also kind of, who might be more successful than me? What can I learn from them rather than what do they have that I don't? It's like, what about their mindset makes them think differently as well? What about their mindset has led to this resilience in this manner, in this capacity? We have so much to learn from people who are more successful than us. And I think that makes the difference between the copycat and, the expander, is a willingness to learn, an appreciation and acknowledgement of the source material, of the blueprint. And the latter has a mutual benefit to it. And so we should really, really lean into this concept of finding our expanders and how they can help us grow in our day-to-day lives. Because we can all learn something from each other. I think the moment that we think that our desires are out of reach, that's where jealousy really thrives. But something that I always like to think about is that if I am witnessing it, if I am thinking about it, if I am dreaming about it, if I desire something, that means that it is possible for it to be mine. It is absolutely possible. And I'll leave you with another quote, is that nothing is hard. It just takes time. How much time do you want to commit to it? How much time do you want to commit to networking with these certain people? How much time do you want to put in to honing this craft? How much time do you want to put into developing this project, to studying for this class? How much time do you really want to put into it? And honestly, another quote from Kris Jenner herself is, If the answer is no, you're asking the wrong person. So I think that concludes this week's episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I am loving this concept of expanders, and I'm literally going to sit down and write my own list, and I'll check back in when we meet again at a later date. Also, update on subliminals. I think they work. I talked about it like months ago, but I've been listening to like a Lucky Girl Syndrome subliminal for every morning for the past maybe 3 months, and I think they actually work, because in that time I like got my new job. I think I got into college, and I like just a lot of different things have happened during the time that I've been listening to these subliminals. So I actually do think they work. And I said that I was going to give an update on that at a later date. So there's my update. But I digress. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. I'm so thankful that you guys listened. Let me know, comment expanders, if you listened up until this point, comment expanders. And don't forget to reach out. It's at Kalopsia Pod, and send in your little slices of daily beauty. It's at KALOPSIAPOD on Instagram and TikTok. And it's at Sydney Jotita, SYDNEYDJOTITA on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And once again, I'm so thankful. I will see you next Sunday, and I hope that you have a great upcoming week.